Hey, Bryan.
Hey Jen.
What are you listening to this week? Welcome to Season 7 of What Are You Listening To? The weekly podcast created to foster community through music by sharing the stories behind the songs that soundtrack our lives. Some of the songs are old, some new, all good. I'm Jenn Tully, and this week I'm joined by the executive editor of Austin Monthly magazine, Bryan C. Parker. Bryan is an expert on the local Austin music scene, and in addition to his contributions to Austin Monthly, he's also written for Rolling Stone magazine, Texas Monthly, Texas Highways, and SF Gate. He's also penned an installment of the 33 and a third book series on 80s punk band Beat Happening. But Bryan and I are not here to talk about 80s punk music today. We are here to talk about Austin Monthly's Honky Tonk Fest happening in Dripping Springs, Texas on Saturday, November 8th. This week, we're going to focus exclusively on artists playing the event, and Bryan is going to give us a primer on four of the bands that will be performing and some of his favorite songs by those artists. So this week, all four songs are Bryan's pick. Which songs do you think we're going to discuss? Tune into our conversation to find out. And in case our song picks are new to you, we'll publish a playlist with the episode so you don't miss a beat. With that, let's get started. Bryan, let's talk about Honky Tonk Fest.
I'm so excited. Jen, thanks for having me. It's so great to be back on the show.
It is. It's great to have you back. It's great to be talking about this event. And so, tell me, before we dive into the music, why Honky Tonk Fest? I think I've heard rumors that, Austin Monthly was wanting to do a music event for some time now. And so now is the time. And how did you land on Honky Tonk Fest?
Yeah, I mean, this really extends back. It's like, where do you want to start, right? Honky tonk has been culture, has been a part of Austin as far back as you want to go. There are dance halls in the area that date back to the 1800s. I think in the to take a shorter view, I wrote the cover story for Austin Monthly back in January, and that story was about the best places to two step in Austin, which is essentially all honky tonks. A lot of people ask, what is a honky tonk? I was just hanging out at F1 this past weekend with some people from out of town from New York, and they were like, what is a honky tonk anyway? so,
They're like, that sounds like a word you can't say anymore, right? Are we allowed to
definitely.
say
Yeah,
that?
one person did, and why do they call them honky tonks? But by definition, a honky tonk is just a place with particularly country music, but I guess it could be, you could stretch that a little bit, but explicitly for the purposes of dancing. Um, so um, in January, I wrote this story, Best Places to Two Step in Austin. And I knew this was going on. I've been to a lot of these places, but I really just fell deeper and deeper in love with the honky tonk scene here and a lot of the bands here. I think that what's happening in Austin is really the most special music community in the country right now. I don't think that people realize just how lucky we are. And there are really scenes all over the country in Portland, in New York, in Houston that are looking to Austin and want to emulate what's going on in Austin and want to get to Austin, and even Nashville want to get to Austin. Nashville certainly has its own appeal, and it has a long history of this as well. But there's a lot of slickness to the music industry there, and I think that what's happening in Austin is really special. So I'd say starting around 2011, 2010, this really when this ramp up to a two-step honky tonk renaissance started in Austin. And it's only grown and is continuing to grow. It's more urgent now than ever. And so this is sort of a continuation. Honky Tonk Fest is a continuation of the incredibly rich music scene that is active every night of the week in Austin, Texas.
Yeah, and I feel like too, I think the other reason that this is having a moment right now, and especially in Austin, is that I think people do look to Austin for lots of things. They look for music, they look for entertainment, they look for new talent, obviously politics and education, like all of the things that Austin delivers. But I think the cool thing about the honky tonk scene is that there's something for everybody, right? If you like to dance, there's that. If you don't know how to dance, but you want to learn, there's plenty of opportunities for that. There's just enjoying good music and all different varieties of country. We're going to get into that in a second. There's the fashion aspect of it, which it's, everything from, you know, take of us in their Chili's boots to, Kendra Scott launching a boot line to all of the things that are happening. I
Yeah.
feel like there's just something for everybody in
Yeah,
this
and the
scene.
spectacle of it. I mean, that's another thing.
Yeah.
I think that plenty of people who come into town, they want to see the spectacle. I mean, there are a lot of these places, and maybe we'll get into some of them, but the White Horse and Sagebrush, and you
Yeah.
can go pretty much any night of the week, and it's a really special scene. You feel like you've walked into a movie, to be honest. It's that rich and vibrant. And I think again, I really want to get back to Nashville. I haven't been in a while, but I want to get back so I feel a little bit more comfortable making this argument. And there are some great artists in Nashville, and I don't mean to
Sure.
detract from it, but I do think that there's something really authentic in Austin. It's not just kind of radio country and pop country. It's a really authentic country music happening here, and it's live music. And I think it's not just I don't know. When you walk in, it feels like you have immersed yourself in a scene that could be borrowed from half a century ago, and it feels transportive for sure.
Yeah, when you talk about half a century ago, I assume you're referring to Urban Cowboy. I'm like, I can't believe that was half a century ago. But all kidding aside, I think that is something that Austin and specifically Honky Tonk Fest lend to. Like, if you've never been to a Texas dance hall and experienced that, it's something you need to see. Like, we touched on it in my first season. I think it was either season one or season two when we had an episode about Texas, like Western swing music and the
Mm,
importance of the Texas dance hall in even like that movement 100 years ago, and so I think that that's super cool too, that Austin kind of brings this long legacy of this dance hall tradition that goes along with the music, and you're not just going to listen, you are going for the spectacle of people
experience.
dancing
Well,
and just that partnership, the connection. Like, it's typically dances that you do with another person. We're
of
talking about
course.
two-stepping or swing,
Yeah.
Western swing, but there's obviously like line dancing and stuff like that. But I think that there's so much more to like the Texas swing and the Texas two-step culture.
Yeah, you're gonna get me on some tangents here, and we're gonna your listeners are gonna be on a wild ride. But really quickly, yeah, I mean it is so experiential, and I think that's what makes it so cool. I was having a conversation just recently with Ray Benson, who was talking about
Wow.
a show back in the '70s that they went on tour in West Texas with Brooks and Dunn. When
Mm,
Brooks and Dunn, I think no one had ever heard of them,
wow.
and they were opening up for Asleep at the Wheel. And Brooks and Dunn, got off stage and said, "I think they hated us." And Ray said, "Why do you think they hate us?" And they said, "Well, nobody clapped." And they said, "Well, were they dancing?" And he said, "Well, yeah, they were dancing." He said, "Then they liked you just fine."
Yep.
And a friend of mine, just exact link to that story, a friend of mine who's playing in the honky tonk scene right now, made this transition and he's played all kinds of music, but he primarily played in indie rock bands for a while. And at the end of the show, everybody kind of stands around and everyone claps, and that's a rock and roll show, to a degree. They might slam into each other, but it's a lot of watching the stage and clapping.
Yeah.
The honky tonk scene is so interactive that at the end of the song, people are more worried about eyeing their next dance partner or finding their next dance partner, and you won't hear these necessary rounds of applause. It doesn't mean they didn't enjoy it. It's just that the focus is a more experiential thing where everybody's, experiencing it together, playing together, and it's not just stand and watch the band. And it's weird. That doesn't detract from the music at all. I mean, in a lot of ways, it really enriches the rhythm
Sure.
and beat and style of the music to have people so interactive with it.
I agree. I think that that's what makes it so fun. And even if you're not loving a particular artist, you're still having a good time because you're watching everybody dance or you're seeing something. Or maybe I found that that's something that's true for me, at least, as well, as I can maybe not love a song or an artist and then see people dance to it and have a whole new appreciation.
Yeah.
So I think that that's something cool that is also going to potentially come out of Honky Tonk Fest, is that some people are going to see how interactive this music is, and they're going to have a whole new appreciation for a lot of these artists and bands that are up there performing this music that is meant to get a crowd up and moving,
Yeah.
not just singing along or clapping, but like actually interacting and having a communal event and experience. So I love that. Well, let's
Absolutely.
get into the music because we have some great
Okay.
artists lined up that are booked for the event. So tell me, the first one is a band that is getting a lot of press right now. I think everybody's so excited to have them headlining this event. But tell me what your first pick is for our Honky Tonk Fest episode.
Yes. So Chaparelle, and
Yes.
the song is Devil Music. I went back and forth on which one I wanted to choose. The song is Devil Music. This whole album is great. You could have picked any song here.
Yes.
And the this song, I believe they opened their show with this a lot of times. I saw them play at Red Rocks and they opened for Charlie Crockett and they played this song first, and it just has such a great beat, and it's a really, from the beginning it's a very driving song, and I think it's that song where you hear it from across. If you're not paying attention, especially if you're an opening act, right? You're not paying attention yet. You're paying attention when this song comes on, and you're paying
Yep.
attention by the end of it. And it just has such a strong sense of rhythm. Again, we're back to like the dance moves, but I think it's a song that pulls people in, and it absolutely captivated me from the beginning. But any song on this record, which is called Western Pleasure, could have worked. But this is the one I picked.
Yeah, I love this song too. I love, like you, I love this album. I think Chaparral is one of those bands too that even if you don't consider yourself a country music fan, and everybody that's ever listened to the show probably even once knows that I don't hold a lot of love for country music past like 1988. I like country music that sounds like country music, not that sounds like pop
Pop music.
music or rap music or other genres. Like, it's just not for me. I'm not saying it's bad music. It's not for me. And so I think that that's another thing that I love about Honky Tonk is that it's a broad definition, broad enough that it allows lots of different kinds of country. And again, for me, I think a lot of it tends to be some of that throwback feel, which we'll get into with some of these other artists. Yet Chaparral feels really new to me. Like they feel like a new sound in the country space that I can't get enough of.
Yeah, it feels both anachronistic and kind of like of another time, but also very present. And so, they also have a very sexy appeal, right? I mean, they're doing this
Yeah.
sort of George Jones, Tammy Wynette thing. It's really built around harmonies, and you kind of have, a male and female vocal that can take lead at various times and play back and forth. And there's a lot of tension in the music. And sexual tension in the music a lot of times, and
Hmm.
they're a real life couple, so that really makes sense. And I think that if you talk to them, there is a tremendous amount of passion boiling right there under the surface, and it's very real
Oh,
and palpable. And so that is part of it. I mean, this is kind of, whether it's been Johnny Cash's relationships or all the way back. I mean, relationships between romantic partners has been an integral part of how country music is played and perceived, and the narrative behind country music,
yep.
as far back as you want to go. So that's a part of it as well. But yeah, there's definitely, to your point about liking country, what you said, that 1980 cutoff, that's kind of the end for you or whatever. I mean, I think that's what's so great again about Austin's music scene is so much
Hmm.
of the music is not, it is anathema to Nashville. It kind of rejects the slick sound. It rejects a lot of the pop, and it's a much more classic country sort of sound. That's the barometer for it. So yeah, that's what you're going to hear in all the artists today, really.
Yeah, I think that it's so exciting though to have different options and not have everybody sound exactly the same. And as you mentioned, the whole album, if you're not familiar with the album, definitely go listen. It's so good. You mentioned Playing Diamonds, Cashing Checks. It's such a great song. Inside the Lines is a great song. I think that might be one of their more popular ones that, that people know.
Yeah.
But definitely such a great band. Super excited to have them. All right, tell us about the second pick. This is another exciting artist.
So the second song I chose is Emily Nenni, and I picked Greatest Hits. And I love this song for a few reasons. And it starts with the title. I love
Yes.
anything that kind of has like a pun or a play on expectations. Um, you know, uh, so to call a song Greatest Hits, and it's just a song, obviously, and that
Yep.
refers to not songs at all, but it refers to like taking a hit. And the first line when it opens up, and she says, "I thought I'd had my greatest hits, but the hits just keep on coming." And she is not talking about hit songs; she's talking about being hit and knocked down and beaten down by life.
Yep.
The chorus does have a bit of an uplifting, like I try to remember that these things are all right, and I kind of, there's kind of this solace that she takes in these simple pleasures. Um, but what I love about the song is that country music has always had a wry sense of self-deprecation,
Yep.
whether it's, Johnny Cash's Boy Named Sue, or Townes Van Zandt had a tremendous number of self-deprecating songs. And so I think that's in the DNA of country music, is just to sort of poke fun at yourself, and kind of play the clown a little bit,
Yeah.
the sad clown a little bit. And I think that's in the DNA of country music, and Emily Nenni does a great job bringing that out. Um, and to your point, not just in terms of the sound and style of it, but in terms of the subject matter and the approach to the songwriting, really embodies classic country. And Emily's an artist who does a lot of these artists, by the way, are playing like 2 hour, sometimes 3 hour, sometimes 4 hour sets. It's very
Wow.
different than, again, back to like a rock and roll act or a punk band or whatever, where you go and they might play for 45 minutes, or a headliner might play for a little over an hour, hour and a half, maybe, if they're a big headliner, touring act, or something like that. These bands, again, it's for dancing. People are there to
Yeah.
dance, so it's there for entertainment. Um, Two things about it. Number one is it's cool in Austin because we do have so much original music. They're
Yeah.
not just playing covers. There's a lot of original songwriting, which is different if your point is really to get people to dance. You're not necessarily playing original songwriting because people want to dance to George Strait. They want to dance to stuff that they know. So to be able to, number one, create music that is compelling enough that it is original and still gets people excited on the dance floor, to me is more impressive than I think the average member of the public might realize. But then the second thing is, because they are playing so long, they do integrate a few covers here and there. And so Emily's one who will play Kitty Wells and play this sort of classic music. But she does a great job of making her sound borrow from an older era of country music. And I love this track.
Definitely. And she has such a sweet voice. That's something that I noticed too. Like, she just sounds sweet. It's appealing to listen to. It's calm. I'm glad you called out Kitty Wells. Like, that was what I was sort of conjuring when listening to her. And I also, too, just because you mentioned the lyrics, I love the lyric. I don't know why. Maybe it is because it does kind of harken back to country music. But I love the line where she says, "I pat my good, good dog on the back." Like, that's one of the simple pleasures that she
Yeah,
loves. Like, she
yeah.
pats her good, good dog on the back. Like, it
when
just,
when the
again,
hits
it's,
when the hits keep coming, it's about these simple pleasures, and a
yeah,
dog. It's very country music, yeah, for sure.
right. But I also feel like that's so, like, Texas or Texas songwriter. Like, you got to throw in like the plug for your dog and your truck and again,
Yeah,
some of those tropes, but we love them because they are familiar and they are comforting. And I think your point is so valid about being able to create original material that is also compelling enough to make people dance. I really had not thought about it like that. And that is so, so true. And then, you know what? When she does throw in one of those covers, I bet you it goes off like gangbusters, because then people know, they feel comfortable, and then they're okay to stay out on the dance floor too. I think
absolutely.
sometimes the hardest song is the first song. And that's another thing I'll say. Anybody that's thinking about coming out to Honky Tonk Fest, it is such a welcoming culture. If you don't know how to dance, if you've never put on a pair of boots, if you have no idea what a two step is from a line dance, like, it is such a welcoming culture. And people are so excited to show you how to dance or to lead so that you can follow along and learn the dance. I think that that's part of what's fun about it is so interactive. So don't be shy, get out there, get on the dance floor. I promise you there will be 100 willing partners, male
Yeah.
or female, to dance with anybody that's looking to dance and have a good time.
Yeah, and a nod to we're here to promote Honky Tonk Fest, or I'm here to talk about Honky Tonk Fest. But absolutely, I mean, it's every night of the week in Austin, and
Yeah.
there's a huge social dancing scene here. So, and you mentioned this earlier, there's plenty of opportunity to learn as well. Um,
Yeah.
Pretty much all the honky tonks in Austin offer a nightly lesson for the most part. There are a few that might do like Thursday through Sunday, but a lot of them, it's every night of the week at that spot. And so there's guaranteed at least one, more than one. There's probably at least two or three or four honky or two-step lessons every night of the week that you can go to a different spot even and
Yeah.
learn beginner two-step lessons. So it's extremely approachable, and the social dancing scene is very cool. Like, people are there to it's really not even about like pairing up or meeting people or dating even. It's very just like, it centers on the dance. People are there to kind of have a good time, listen to music. Some people are there literally to exercise. I mean, to
Yeah.
believe me, spin around the dance floor a few times and your calves are going to feel it. But
Yeah.
yeah, so they're there to kind of have a good time, and there's a tremendous amount of respect, and a lot of it's not even really romantic or
Yeah.
anything like that. It's just sort of people enjoying a dance and then parting ways. Yeah.
Yeah, and just being social about it. So I think that it's very, it can be low commitment, it can be high commitment. Like, you're in the driver's seat if you go. And I will put this out there too for people that might feel nervous or intimidated. Certainly you can get as complicated as you'd like with the two-step. Like there are people that do things I'd never even dreamed of, or seeing on a dance floor, but it's also a relatively easy dance to learn. Like it's not super tricky. There's not a lot of, it's not like a Zumba class where you're going to get some like crazy choreography. Like you can come out and, halfway through the song, you're like, oh, I've got this. Like I can do this. And so I think it's also pretty accessible, which is a nice thing about two-stepping.
Definitely.
All right, let's go to track 3, and this time we are going to talk about Paige. So
Paige
tell
Plaisance.
me what the
Yeah.
third track is.
Paige Plaisance, and I hope I'm saying her name right. Paige is from Louisiana, and you have to hear Paige say it, I think, to say it exactly right. There's a little bit of that inflection. But Paige Plaisance is, I don't want to overstate it here, but really, absolutely one of my favorite artists in Austin, and an artist that from the first time I heard her, I was hooked. And this record is so fantastic. Louisiana Lonely, and this is her first album. It is probably the artist that I think most deserves more accolades. Like not to go back to Emily, but I meant to mention it. Emily played Austin City Limits Festival last year.
Okay.
So, she's just a person who's had success. Like she's pretty big in Nashville. She's touring when she plays in Austin. Chaparelle is opening for Charlie Crockett and Red Rocks. Paige is a newer artist, and she absolutely deserves every bit of the accolades and is underrated. She has a phenomenal voice, an extremely interesting voice. Just the sort of timbre of her voice is different than anything that you hear. And so that alone, I think, is a hook for me. It does have this sort of swampy Louisiana vibe to it. The song I picked is a bit sunnier. So the record in general, I think, has this swampy Louisiana thing going on. It's called Louisiana Lonely. The song that I picked is called Highway 65. It's a gorgeous song, so sort of upbeat from the beginning. But for me, it's the chorus, and the chorus just opens up in this gorgeous way. And what it reminds me of really is Mamas and the Papas, like West Coast, California.
Oh, yeah.
It feels like 70s Southern California or something like that. And it's still obviously honky tonk, folk, fiddle, ready to two-step, but there is this sort of like West Coast upbeat element to it that is gorgeous. And I told her that when last time I saw her. But yeah, it's a fantastic song, and this whole record is really solid and one that you should absolutely seek out.
Well, I like that she has a super classic sound to me. Like that was something I loved about her voice, that I loved about the song, this song in particular. And then I definitely can't wait to see her live. She seems like an artist to me that is going to put on like an amazing live show. And then I also too, like I love a local shout out in a song. And so I love the line where she says, boys in Travis County don't know how to act. I was like, preach girl, I hear you.
Yeah. No, that line is hilarious and so fun. And so, yeah, like topical is what I don't know if that's the exact right word, but referential to the immediate vicinity. Yeah, we feel it. So I agree with you. I love that line. The best thing about Paige on stage, I feel like, is that she just looks like she's having such a good time, and she's just smiling and enjoying herself. A little more backstory on Paige. She was running a vintage clothes boutique, so out of a trailer, at one of these local honky tonks, and she had no aspirations to be a musician. Like she designs clothes and makes clothes, Western wear, and so a bunch of her friends playing the bands, and they were like, you have a great voice, you need to start music, you need to play music. So she kind of got talked into this, and I really think is one of the most exciting artists in Austin right now. So
I did not know that backstory. I love that because I would have thought she like has been performing since she was a little kid. That's like, you sort of make up a story about an artist that you don't know about necessarily. And I was like, oh, I bet you she was a little kid that sang in a band locally in Louisiana, and then like not at all.
No, yeah, and I'd have to press her on that to see, well, when did you start guitar or piano? Because she does a lot of keyboards, so she'll play guitar a little bit, but then she'll move over to the keys, and so I wouldn't be surprised if she played keys or piano or had piano lessons at an early age. But yeah, she told me that she got talked into this. This was not on
Wow.
her bingo card to pursue.
Well, I'm excited to hear her live. I don't know why. Of all the artists on the roster, when I've listened through all the bands, she just keeps popping out as the
Yeah,
person that I'm most excited to see a live show of.
she's great.
All right, we're going to round out the playlist with a favorite of mine. This is the artist I'm second most excited about behind Chaparelle. Only because I've seen him before and I'm excited to see him again. So, tell me about your fourth song, which is by one of my faves, Aaron McDonald.
Aaron McDonald, yes. So this is
Love.
Dreams by Aaron McDonald. When I to come full circle, when I started researching this story and I started talking to dancers in these honky tonks, and I was like, how did you get into this? When did you come out? A lot of these people will go out 4 or 5 nights a week to these honky
Yeah.
tonks and dance. Why do you decide where you go, etc. One thing that came up right away was that the dancers will follow the artists. So they're not just, and again, if you go to Whitehorse any night of the week, there's going to be something good to dance to. But specifically, they're like, oh, I want to go to that set because it's great to dance to. And Aaron McDonald was a common denominator of people saying, I go out to dance to Aaron. Um, Aaron has a really sort of just drifting, atmospheric pedal steel sound in a lot of his songs, and it just almost forces you to sway when you two step. The best kind of two stepping, I feel, which is this very kind of flowy, dreamy sort of two step, and I think his songs really encourage that. And when I started dancing more in these honky tonks, I was like, I totally understand why people love dancing to Aaron so much. There is this gentle flow to everything he does, and I also think that he really finds the mid tempo really nicely. A comfortable pace of dance is difficult to find. A lot of times songs can be too fast, and you're trying to get that high energy and excitement, but it's just almost too fast. Or if you're doing a slow song, they're too slow. And so Aaron does a great job of finding this perfect dance tempo and having this atmospheric pedal steel that is beautiful. And so one of my favorite artists to dance to as well.
Yeah, I love this artist. I love this song. I was really glad that you picked this track. And I think too, I'm making a prediction. I think this is the couples dance song of the night. I think if we're gonna have a couples skate moment like you do at a roller skating rink, our
Yeah.
couples skate moment is gonna be Dreams by Aaron McDonald. So I hope it's on his playlist
Yeah, it
or
is,
his set list.
yeah, he just did, by the way, a live at the Whitehorse album, and I wrote a story about
Mm,
that on Austin Monthly as well. And to me, I made some lofty comparisons in the very beginning, to like uh, James Brown at the Apollo, or like I mean these, but I think the thing is, a great live album is about more than just the artist, and the artist can be great, but it's
right.
about transcending the artist and putting them in a context where they're communicating something about the present moment or the scene. And so for Aaron to do this album live at the White Horse, I love that. And I went to the release show. He played that song there, definitely. And I love that he's capturing this moment. It's the same thing that this festival is about, really, which is it's just capturing the excitement of this honky tonk scene right now in this present moment. And so I think he does that really well.
I agree. And I think his sound is so universally likable. Like he's almost like, I mean, I talk about lofty comparisons, but I think like that's one of the things that's so great about a George Strait, right? Like his voice is not offensive. Anybody can listen. You can pick up any song and get it, understand what's going on. It can make you feel a certain type of way. I feel like Aaron McDonald's that accessible, right?
Yeah.
Like his voice is so easy to listen to. He's got swag. You can tell just when he's, like just
Well,
from
he has that
listening.
great baritone. I mean, it's
Yeah.
it's really nice and smooth and warm, and I feel like, back to your point about the different styles of honky tonk music here, or different styles of country music in Austin, and it doesn't all sound the same because it's not pop country. That's
Right.
totally true. And you listen to these four artists we've talked about today, everyone sounds a little different.
Yep.
And to me, the what Aaron embodies is this like late night moment, like many beers in, and just this almost kind of like sultry, lazy end of the night, dancing till post midnight hours. That's kind of Aaron's sound. And Emily is a little bit more like sweet and upbeat, like you were saying, and like you're like showing up to the venue right away. You like got your first coin in the jukebox. You're ready to dance. I feel like that's Emily. And then
Yeah.
Aaron is this is there's a little bit more sultry soul to it, and I love it.
Yeah, I do too. I think he's a great artist that people are going to be excited to discover at Honky Tonk Fest or via this playlist. I think are both good ways to check him out. Well, Bryan, thank you so much for coming on and sharing what you're listening to this week and telling us a little bit more about Honky Tonk Fest. I'm so excited about this event. I think that it really, truly is a moment in time that we are all lucky enough to be a part of here in Austin. And if you are finding yourself looking for a fun event, the weather's cooling off in Austin. I hear people all the time say, I really want to get out to Austin. I want to visit, but I want to come when it cools off. So November is usually when I tell people to come. And so I think that this is a great opportunity to
Perfect
get out
weather. Yeah.
there. Yeah, we're
And
having great weather.
yeah, and I think you said at the top, but yes, Saturday,
Yep.
November 8th at Jester King Brewery in Dripping Springs, Texas, a little bit outside of Austin, but close enough. Just a quick drive. And I want to give a quick nod, real quick, before we wrap up.
Of course.
This is inspired by these honky tonks. We want you at Honky Tonk Fest one night of the year, and every other night of the year, please get out to a local honky tonk. So, the White Horse we mentioned, Sagebrush are some of my favorites. Sam's Town Point is arguably my favorite place.
Oh,
I live north, and it's a tough drive. But the way I described it in my story was Sam's Town Point is kind of like if David Lynch directed Dirty Dancing. You've never, it's like stepping into a movie set. It's transportive. It'll change you. There's no place like it. The Little Longhorn Saloon, Don's
yep.
Depot, the Broken Spoke is the classic. But there are so many new spots that are new and exciting, and I would say they're every bit as good, if not better. So, you know,
A lot
check
to
it
choose
out.
from.
A
Yes,
lot to
there's a
choose
lot
from.
to choose from here, and you should definitely, again, we can't overstate it enough. If you've not experienced the Texas Dance Hall, you are missing out. And if you find yourself looking for a good reason to come to Austin, this could be it. So definitely join us for Honky Tonk Fest. You can just Google Honky Tonk Fest at Jester King, and it will take you straight to the ticket link. You can buy your tickets now before they sell out. And while you are online, please be sure to follow, download, and share the show. And if you love listening, drop us a review on Apple or Spotify. And I'll be back again next week with an all new episode. So until then, to stay informed on all things Super Awesome Mix and what are you listening to, be sure to follow us on Instagram at Super Awesome Mix. Thanks for listening, and please join me again next week to find your new favorite song.